Good morning and welcome to the Trader Planet Pre-Market Open Trade Review. Today is Thursday, February 18th, and we're happy to have you with us today. This is Darla Tuttle, and I am your host for today's session with Greg Firman, a market analyst for TraderPlanet.com. Today's webcast takes place at a specific date and time, and therefore any opinions given by our presenter may change without notice at any time. Trading involves substantial risk of loss and therefore may not be suitable for all investors, and past performance is not indicative of future results. This live webcast is being recorded and will be archived on TraderPlanet.com, so you will be able to review the material at a later time. You can also find additional previously recorded webinars among our other free educational resources within our site at www.TraderPlanet.com. As one of our more popular presenters, Greg Firman is a professional trader and commodity trade advisor that has worked in the stock, futures, commodity, and currency markets for the last 10 years. Greg is a Series 3 commodity futures license and registered with the NFA and has clients that include individual traders and fund managers from around the world. We're delighted to have him visiting with us today. Let's give a warm welcome to Greg Firman.
Thank you for that very warm welcome, Darla. Again, my name is Greg Firman, market analyst here at TraderPlanet.com. For today, we're going to be going into a pre-market review. So with the pre-market review, we're going to be looking at, specifically for today, the Forex market. Now, what we're going to be also doing is looking at using a live platform. So just so everybody can see this, we have the FXCM trading platform where you're going to be using the VantagePoint software exclusively. Now, getting things started here, if anybody's ever watched my weekly commentary, we're going to start with the US dollar index. Now, the US dollar index is really been on quite a tear again this morning. So there's a lot of things happening in the market with Greece, with equities, commodities, all these things that are happening. They're saying the dollar's going up, the dollar's going down, but let's really have a closer look at this. Now, we can see here that the call from Vantage Point, now I took a lot of heat from this one too, calling the US dollar strength. This was back actually at the end of November when we got this triple EMA crossover from Vantage Point, when the first actual break higher took place on the US dollar. Now, point of interest is that when the US dollar moved higher, we actually had none of these things going on with Greece, the equities. The equities were still moving higher, but the US dollar was also moving higher too. So when we're looking at Forex trading, we really want to be focused on this US dollar index. Now, again, using the US dollar index futures contracts from Vantage Point, I'm able to use this to help forecast the Forex market, because in reality, Forex is buying or selling US dollars. That's what it is. So we can see that this market has gone up considerably. It's come back, it's retraced. The market again started to say, that this was just a correction in the US dollar. It's not going to go any higher from here. But we can see here that Vantage Point refused to put out that sell signal, and in actual fact, the correction was in the uptrend, not in the downtrend. We're now today considerably higher. We're sitting around the 80.61 mark. I'm watching on CNNmoney.com. I watch the US dollar index throughout my trading day, very important. So that's our first thing we're going to look at here, is the US dollar index. So the key levels here, 79.53, 80, and 81.15. Now, looking at the market today, we've had a fairly good range on this. We can see that yesterday it's come down, touched the 18-day predicted moving average from Vantage Point, and it's bounced clear out of there. This can be used as a major level of support at the 79.53. The correction, it's come down, hit lower. Commodities were very strong yesterday, but then it turned around and went considerably higher. So what we can do here now is I'm going to do a little bit of a split screen so everybody can see this. And I'm going to gauge a number of different things against the US dollar index. So one of the most popular currency pairs out there that's being traded, obviously, is the Euro-US currency pair. Now, we can see here clearly that the crossover points on the US dollar index and the down signal that took place at the actual 150 level in Euro-US is where the real sell signal came. They're almost identical to each other. So it's very important that we look at these things. The euro is made up 52%, I believe, is what makes up the US dollar index. The euro makes up the US dollar index, I should say. So if basically you can actually watch the US dollar index tick by tick, and you can see euro US following it very, very closely. So, you know, looking at euro US, you really do need to look at this US dollar index. Now, looking at a number of pairs, we can gauge these all against the US dollar index. The Japanese yen, we can see we have Japanese yen has a high correlation to the US dollar. So in most cases, when Japanese yen strengthens, so does the US dollar index, and you know that also goes the other way too. Excuse me, when the US dollar index is weakening, so is the Japanese yen. So we're looking at this, we can see that we've got a minor crossover here, but again, using the triple EMA crossover, we can see that again, VantagePoint is not really willing to put out a confirmed buy signal on the dollar yen. And as such, I'm just going to briefly, hopefully we don't have too much of a delay here, but I just want everybody to see the live platform here. This is, of course, a demo. This is an educational presentation. We can see that the Japanese, the dollar yen is actually pulling back when a number of market participants started pouring long positions in there yesterday, and this is what you have to be careful of. Now, again, looking at some of these things, breaking it down, we're going to pull this back up and we're going to look closer at what's actually happening with this dollar yen. So the dollar yen, again, is a very volatile currency pair. A number of people, a number of trading platforms and trade signal companies don't even recommend trading it. But in actual fact, with the VantagePoint software, it's been highly accurate. So again, we're going to go in here and have a look at some of the things we would be looking at going into pre-market trading. Now, the short term, when we hit these crossover points are based on a VantagePoint predicted exponential moving average crossing over a standard moving average. So the short term, we can see, actually at the beginning of the month, we started to get somewhat of a short-term buy signal on the dollar yen. Now, looking at the medium-term crossover, this was also suggesting the dollar yen was going to move higher. Then looking at the longer-term crossover, that's also suggesting that this is going to move higher, but then looking at the triple EMA, which is a confirming trend reversal type of indicator, it's not yet confirming that. So what we would do then is we would go in and have a look at some of VantagePoint's other indicators. Specifically, in this case, we're looking at VantagePoint's very own indicator, which is the predicted TSI. It's crossed over to the upside in basically oversold territory. So with this, we're looking at the VantagePoint software roughly between minus 25 and plus 25. This gives us an overbought and oversold signal, and the crossover is giving us a